Tell us about your latest book, The History of Late Modern Englishes. What does it set out to do?
Well, it's got two main aims. One of them is to tell the story of English beginning from the beginning of the 18th century. Um, because it begins late, it doesn't begin at the beginning of the of English with Anglo-Saxon times. Because it starts in the 18th century, I've got space to go into things that some histories don't go into, particularly world Englishes and the status of global English. Some history books cover those, but not all. So it gives me a slight freedom to go a little bit more into the present day and to look at the future. The other aim is equally important, or very important, and that is, I think, to give students experience of analysing small chunks of language, dealing with small bits of linguistic data, coming to terms with the process of analysing language. And that comes about through the book's activities. And I think it really is activity-based that is the main characteristic of my book. I could give you many examples. There are examples on almost every page, I think, but I'll just choose one example. There's a chapter in the book about Australian English, the development of Australian English. And part of that chapter deals with the way that Australians create new words. And just to mention three of these ways of doing it, one of them is they're very fond of shortening words. So instead of beauty or beautiful, you have butte. Instead of Australia, you have Oz. Instead of university, you have uni, which is incidentally a way that's become very much generally used throughout the English-speaking world. Then there's another way, when you're talking about someone's career, you often use the suffix "o", their career or something to do with them. So a commo is a communist, and a journo is a journalist. And then most common of all, the use of the suffix "ie" to form a word like Barbie or chewy, which is the word for chewing gum. And there are others. Now, most histories would quite legitimately set these out as facts. They'd say in Australian English there are various ways of forming words, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, and they would discuss those. What I do in my book is to give the students examples of words in a jumbled order, saying, here are some Australian words. Can you see what characteristics are being done here, to come up with a statement about how Australians create new words? And I'd also ask them if they could make a guess at what some of the words mean. Then, having done that, I would tell them. So there will be a bit in the book which actually describes, as in the other books I've mentioned, what goes on and discuss those ways of doing it. So it's very much an inductive rather than a deductive approach, and that's why I call the book activity-based.